life, and we help student bodies break the stigma of mental health to create healthier and happier, more productive communities. Which is a nice tagline. Doesn't really tell you a lot about who I am or why I got into the thing that I'm doing now. So I like to begin with a little backstory. My name is Junck. I'm from Branson, Missouri, and I had the normal teenage experience. I spent my summers working at a snow cone stand that I founded myself, Oasis, and I spent my falls, winters, and springs being heavily involved in the theater communities of Branson, Missouri. I spent ages 12 to 16 acting professionally in theater, and filled up as much time beyond that. I have a passion for reading self-help books and just reading in general. And beyond that, to round out my normal teenage experience, in 2017, I was diagnosed with bipolar depression following a suicide attempt that left me hospitalized for 2 days. See how quiet it got? I know what you're thinking. One of those things doesn't really sound like the others. Unfortunately, Gen Z has had a growing and exponential problem with mental health, to the point where it has created a new normal. 1 in 5 students in 2018, ages 14 through 18, have been diagnosed with a mental health disorder, be it depression, anxiety, or bipolar disorder. That is a 63% increase from 2000, a 34% increase in suicide attempts. In any given year, 15% of American students will plan their suicides, 8% will attempt, and in 2018, 2,431 were successful. 70% of these students never reached out for help of any kind and never got the treatment they needed, largely because they never sought treatment. In the customer discovery interviews I've done with peers of my own age, they list largely the mental health stigma and fear of alienation from their peers for reaching out for treatment. So what are we going to do about it? The value proposition of Junck Speaks is based around 2 hypotheses. 1, schools believe that a stigma exists surrounding mental health, which is damaging to the general well-being of their students and their classroom performance. And 2, peer-to-peer motivational speaking can increase connection with an audience and the message. Again, that value proposition is we utilize a form of peer-to-peer motivational speaking in order to help students with their framing and perspectives on life, and student bodies break this stigma of mental health so that students feel comfortable talking about the issues that they face on a day-to-day. I know what you're thinking. You're 19 years old. You're making a motivational speaking business. What makes you qualified to do that? Well, I have a lot of great resources that are helping me out. I have Haley Winfrey. She is a psychologist based out of Texas who is developing the content with me. I connected with Joe Ty, a motivational speaker in Iowa. I'm developing his program right now called the Florence Prescription. He largely targets the hospital market, but I've been working very closely with him to develop my own skills and be a resource. And, I have experience in public speaking. I've given 5 speeches to high schools based out of the Southwest Missouri area and look forward to speaking with more. Now, I know typically motivational speakers are people that have overcome these huge obstacles in life. And I can say honestly, I have never climbed Mount Everest blind or anything of the sort. A lot of the problems and struggles I faced felt more vain, more mundane, and less consequential, which I feel like is typical of the average teenage experience. I feel like my age and my positioning and my stories allow me to relate to the problems faced by my audience and will allow my audience to relate to me. Total market versus target market. I know that the idea of a motivational speaker might be a little esoteric, but it's actually a large and growing market. The youth motivational speaking market represents $500 million in the United States alone and is expected to grow by 5.5% a year from 2019 to 2024. Primarily, this is public and private high schools, although it also includes after-school programs and summer camps. I'm going to be targeting schools with 600 plus students, largely in Midwest areas, and with school counselors that understand this growing stigma and this mental need. Our go-to-market strategy, well, that mostly works. Right now, this business was conceptualized 3 weeks ago, so we are in the preliminary stage. That involves content development, reaching out to motivational speakers to learn as much as I can about their data process, getting as many connections as I can. Soon, I hope to move on to the Speak for Free stage, where I reach out to as many relevant organizations as possible and really work on getting my name and brand built. And then we have the operational stage, continue working on the craft, reach out know 1 Million Cups is a business-facing organization. That's what we focus on. So this question is bound to come up. So, how are you going to make any money? There's two ways to collect payment through this. There's a speaking fee associated with giving individual speeches to the high school and middle school market. There's also cluster pricing. So if schools in an area want to pair up, they can split the cost on travel and expenses, bringing the overall cost down. The cost for a single speech, I've been working with Junck to determine the right price point to come into the market at. He recommends $549 for a 35-minute speech. This will help add validity to the speech. And as long as I'm delivering that ROI, it matters. And next step, we've secured a domain. I'm building the Wix site this weekend. We're going to continue developing the content of the speech and continue reaching out to motivational speakers to learn as much as possible. Thank you very much.
Okay, do you plan to do this as an individual, or are you going to form a company around it?
I think in the beginning my plan is to do this individually. I'm open, this idea is still large, we're still in development, it's still largely up in the air, we're still in the developmental stage. Currently I think I'm going to pursue this solo, but I'm also going to, lean on the resources of mentors.
Okay, you should consider forming a non-profit, give yourself some protection, but that would allow you also to take in donations. I mean, the only difference is that 10% profit margin, but you could still pay yourself and everything like that. So just consider that.
Thank you.
You said you were working with psychologists and tactics to develop content and things like that, and then you also mentioned like peer-to-peer stuff. Is there like workshops or activities you're going to do, or is it just the speech and then you kind of leave it? How's that going?
Okay, great question. Thank you very much. So there is a day of process, largely with high school motivational speakers. Usually that begins where you come to the school whenever class time begins, and usually you'll work with a limited number of students, anywhere from 50 to 80, and you'll deliver a preliminary workshop in order to reinforce these ideals that you're going to be talking about in the speech, and how to prevent your speech from just becoming the program of the month. Because a lot of times motivational speakers will come in, they'll give their spiel, they'll leave, and in a week everybody's forgotten about what they said. And the way to prevent that is to create these residual programs. And so Haley's idea is to instead explore peer and group counseling to create almost like a club within these high schools where people can come together and talk earnestly and candidly about the problems they face. So I think that's something that I would love to instate, although I am looking at multiple ways to make it a little bit more residual than just you come in and get a speech, you leave.
So I know you pivoted from a different business.
Yes.
What was the reasoning behind it?
So I was doing a business called Clean Slate, and it was social media screening for the hiring process. Largely, I saw myself not passionate about the work I was doing. And I worked hard, but I just couldn't see myself doing it in the long term, and largely, I didn't think that the idea was feasible for me to realistically pull off. I thought that there were economic barriers that I wasn't prepared to jump. And, they always say in business, why this, why you, why now? And I just couldn't figure out my why you. I couldn't figure out why I would be the one based in this idea of social media screening. It just felt largely on me. So I just wanted to shift and focus on something that I felt like I had a more legitimate background and could do more good in.
Do you have like a YouTube channel or a place where you put out content regularly?
I do not yet. I have a YouTube channel. I have the name Junck Speaks as a YouTube channel right now. I have not begun producing content yet. I'm still workshopping this large 35-minute speech. That would be the thing that I would begin developing and workshopping with schools to pilot. 15% can hire 2 within that same year. Largely, those motivational speakers are picked by the counseling department of the high school. And so the process, the way they go choosing it, every school has a different process. Largely,
too, saying with the YouTube channel, do you plan on that being the source of revenue as well?
I can definitely see it as a likelihood, as like a possibility. That's not where my focus is right now, although I can definitely see myself expanding to that in the future.
I just think so many people, so many young people especially, are making ridiculous amounts of money on that platform that I wouldn't discount it as a revenue source.
Oh, I totally agree, and it's so easy to produce content through YouTube. You know, it can be very personable, it can be very, you know, I hope to get a copy of this video.
It's on Facebook.
Oh, perfect.
It's live.
Oh, perfect.
Wait, but also to go with that point, you can get way more speaking gigs if you're viral or something, if you have a big following there. So
Exactly, exactly.
good strategy. You're on it, I know.